Hello there, it's me editing in the future. Thanks for watching the video. I just wanted to flag a couple of sensory things just as a disclaimer. I noticed in the recording that there are a couple of cars that zoom by, so I'll put that time stamped where that happens just so you're aware. And then at the very end of the video, my oven timer went off because I may or may not have been making taquitos the whole time I was recording. But I just wanted that to be a thing that you're aware of so there are no surprises. Alright. Oh, hello, YouTube. I wanted to make a video, another autism video, because I've been grappling with this concept that bothers me so much, and I'm still struggling to come to terms with and figure out how to navigate. And it got brought to the forefront of my mind because I've been reading this book that was recommended to me called Unmasking Autism by Dr. Devon Price. Who I will point out, I didn't know before I got the book, but Devon is trans like me. What? So their work is very inclusive his work is very inclusive of people who have autism or autistic people from all different communities and identities, not just, as he goes over, white upper class boys. But anyway, this quote from, I think this is somewhere in the middle of chapter 2, got me really thinking about being autistic in a professional setting. I'm a young adult, I have a budding acting career, and sometimes, and this has definitely been a thing in the past, it's hard for me to know when and how to bring up the fact that I'm autistic. And a lot of, like 99.9% of the time, unless I'm working with someone who we know that we're both autistic and can bring it up, I hide it because of, I'm going to read a quote that explains it here. Dr. Devon talks about how there are some mental health providers in Chicago who are autistic. I'll just read it. It says, "I do know several mental health providers in other cities who have confessed to me privately that they're autistic and love working with fellow autistic patients. However, each of them has told me they cannot openly identify as autistic professionally. There's too great a risk that their colleagues would view them as incompetent or unprofessional if they were open about their neurodivergence." I have so much to say about this, and it's hard for me to organize all of my thoughts into words sometimes, but I'm going to do my best because this is an important thing to talk about. I'll start with an anecdote from my own life. I graduated high school when I was 15, and I started college when I was 16. So the background on that is necessary to explain the fact that academics have always been very easy for me. It's the social part of school that was hell. So basically, I was getting bullied a lot. I did not have friends. I did not relate to any of the kids at my school at all. We just were living in two different worlds. And it was so very apparent to me my whole childhood, even though I wasn't diagnosed till I was 15. But when I discovered more about autism, that all made sense. So anyway, I graduated at 15 because I didn't need to be there for the academics. The stuff I already understood, was ready to move past. And when I started college, I needed a job, and there was this opening at this tutoring center somewhere near where I lived. They were looking for somebody to tutor younger students in reading, writing, math, science. These are all things that I would be more than happy to do. I love working with kids. I love helping other people understand these things that bring me so much joy. Learning brings me so much joy, and when I get a topic, it just like makes me so excited, and I just dive into it, and it's like light going off, fireworks in my brain. Anyway, I'm very good at teaching, especially kids, subjects that are sometimes hard to grasp at first. So I applied for this job, and I got to the stage where they were going to interview me over the phone. Was talking to this lady for 10 minutes. Things were going really well. She was saying that I'd be really great to bring on board, and I was like, in my head, yes, I totally got this. This is a great fit. I told her my situation, that I was 16 in college, graduated at 15, 4.0 GPAs across the board, totally got these subjects. And I don't remember how it came up. I think she asked me how I would feel about tutoring kids with disabilities. And I said something along the lines of, I would love that. I'm autistic and I relate to kids with disabilities really easily. I always have. We get along, we understand each other's minds, and I know how to kind of read what somebody needs from me in order to understand what I need to teach them. I can communicate with people who think differently very well. And all of a sudden, her tone just shifted. The vibe was very different, and I was like, whoa, what am I picking up on here? And the next thing she said was, she started talking to me like a baby. She was like, oh, wow. Oh, well, you seem very normal. You're very good at coming across as normal. And I didn't know what to say to that. I was a 16-year-old kid who had heard that before, but I just kind of was like, into masking mode, going, thank you, yeah, no, thanks, I appreciate that, I work very hard at it. And we got off the phone, and I was like, this is weird now. And important to point out, during the interview, she was telling me that it would be great to have me on board because I was so academically advanced and I was good at this stuff. Then a couple days later, I got the rejection email that said, your interview was great, but we're going to go with somebody a little more academically stable. And I was like, academically stable? Excuse me. I'm in college with flying colors at the age of 16. Not to brag, but come on, man. When do we as autistic people ever get to brag? That phrasing of like, oh, you look so normal. Oh, that tone of like condescending, and then all of a sudden I'm not academically stable because I'm autistic. And you didn't even know that until I said it. Made me so mad. I was so just like angry at the world in that moment. So anyway, reading this has gotten me to think about the ways in which that still is so present in my life. I am now a graduate of college. I graduated NYU last year, and I'm working in LA, and I'm doing really well. I'm having a great time. Masking my autism is a survival strategy, professionally and socially. But it's also just at this point my default. It has been for 90% of my life. You kind of learn that that's what's necessary in order to get by in this world. And I sometimes battle between knowing that when advocating for myself, in any kind of accommodation sense, but particularly government benefits, it is so hard for me to work a 9-to-5. And I have done it many times in the past. I've been working since I was 15 years old. But when I have a 9-to-5, minimum wage, normal job, right? It takes me about less than 2 weeks before I am just drained. My battery is empty. I am falling apart at the seams. I can't even get out of bed. And knowing that about myself, and knowing that it gets me to this bottom of the depths of burnout and depression and sky-high anxiety that I cannot go to work. I'm calling out sick at the last minute, which is a horrible thing to do as an employee, and I know it's a horrible thing to do, and I'm letting the team down and all of this stuff, but I just can't do it. So anyway, knowing that that's a limit that I have for my health and well-being, it can make it very difficult, because obviously in this world you need money to live. I need to pay my rent. But if I were to, and I have an official diagnosis, I am both lucky and I guess unlucky in some respects in that, which I'm learning about in here. If I were to be forthcoming about that in order to advocate for accommodations and say, hey, I really need this job, but I can only work so many days a week. I need this in order to be able to function, and I can only work a shift, like 4 to 5 hours maximum, maybe 3 times a week. That's all I can do. I know that will mean I won't get hired, because businesses don't need somebody who can only work a couple of days. They need someone who can jump on board and support the business every day. And I know that. So it's just hard to know. It's just hard. The other thing is, I get so much from watching autistic YouTubers, and I love talking about it when I can, and I want to be able to share this, but also knowing that in my acting career, a lot of what casting directors can look at sometimes, or just people you're working with, is your online presence. Taquitos. It's also risky professionally to even talk about your autism online. Regardless of the fact that I have no followers or subscribers, the fact that I'm putting this out there to begin with can be risky, because in a professional environment, being openly autistic to a lot of people means that you are incompetent and unprofessional. It's such a weird puzzle to try to figure out. Being autistic in a world that is built not just not for autistic people, but sometimes actively against the success of autistic people, is a lot. And I don't have the answers, and I don't know if anybody does have the answers. It's probably very different for everybody. I guess I just wanted to talk about it to say that if you're experiencing this, you're not alone. What the heck? I guess that's it. Just, remember that you are not a problem. The problem is not your existence in the way that you exist. The problem is the structure of how this society works. I guess my advice would be to read this book, first of all. Just learn about yourself and the experiences of people like us. And fingers crossed that hopefully one day we all get some better answers and we all get the success we deserve.